This is Luke Passinault. Today is May 2nd, 2014. I am interviewing Bill Passinault, a longtime parishioner at Immaculate Heart of Mary Parish in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Thanks for speaking with me today.
I'm happy to do it, Luke. Thanks for the invitation.
Yeah, no problem. Please restate your name and tell what year you joined Immaculate Heart.
My name is Bill Passinault, and my wife and our 4 children joined Immaculate Heart in 1968 after I got out of the Air Force. And we were looking for a parish that had a good school that was within walking distance of our house, and the house that we bought then, we've been in for 46 years, so it seemed to work out.
Yeah. Describe your family at the time, names of spouse as well as names of ages of children.
Well, my wife is Mary. We were both Catholic Central graduates, so Grand Rapids was our home. And we had 4 children at that time. Our oldest was Will, who was 7, Stephen 5, David 4, and Tom was 3. And 3 months after we moved into our new house, our 5th son, Joel, was born. And then 2 years later, our 6th son, James, was born. I think you know James.
Yeah. Cool. Who was the pastor when you joined? Please discuss your relationship with him and give your impressions of his role in our parish. What do you remember about him the most?
Well, the pastor at that time, I think it was his second tour here, was Father Kilgore. He had been the founding pastor and then was away and came back for a second tour as pastor here at Immaculate Heart. And I think that he was here that second time. We overlapped for about a year, so we got to know him a little bit, but not as well as the people who had been, the kind of the veterans in the parish, because to us he was fairly new person, but we certainly were delighted to get to know him.
Cool, that's awesome. What other priests do you have memories of? Please give their names and what you most remember about them.
Well, the priest who followed as pastor after Father Kilgore left was Father Lawless. Very distinguished priest. He was tall, very studious, a scholar, just a wonderful preacher as well. And the other priests that we remember from those times, probably Father Flater is the one that we remember the most, because he actually married, 2 of our children. Was the presiding priest at their marriage, so that was always special. But he also became a good friend of the family, and he's been back, of course, to Immaculate Heart with regularity, and it's always wonderful to cross paths with him again. Remember Father Steve Vasek, who of course he grew up in the parish here, and we knew his parents as well, and it was always a delight to have Father Steve come back, and he still comes frequently because he still has family in the area, although his parents have passed on. Father Hollywood was also a pastor. Hollywood is kind of an unusual name for a priest, but he was just a great guy. We were very blessed to have the oblates here, because there usually were at least 3 priests who were assigned to the parish. I mean, that's amazing that would be the situation in those years. And so there was always someone who you felt close to as far as personality, or especially enjoyed their sermon style, their homilies, and they were always very friendly folks. So we got close to a number of the oblates, and we've been served well by the diocesan priests, and from Father Reginato and Father Tufts, and now Father Troy Nevins. We've been blessed to have good priests here at Immaculate Heart.
Awesome. And like the three priests thing, like what was that all about?
Well, there was the pastor, and then he would have two younger assistants. In fact, Father Sudlake was one of the assistants in his first assignment, I think soon out of the seminary, and then later on he came back as the pastor here at Immaculate Heart. So
Awesome.
it was very remarkable, really. But there was a big parish, and all of the priests had different responsibilities. In fact, there were other oblates who lived in the rectory. One was a chaplain at St. Mary's Hospital, and one also served as the student chaplain at Catholic Central. So there were times that the community of oblates here included 5 priests, which is really quite remarkable.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So you can see how much what the hard work is now for a parish this size to have one priest. And of course, then he calls more and more on lay people to help with the job.
Awesome. Did your children go to IHM school? If so, tell about the atmosphere of the school. Any principals and/or teachers who made impressions on your children?
Well, all 6 of our sons went to Immaculate Heart. When we first joined the parish, they did not have a kindergarten or a first grade, so there just weren't enough classrooms, and all the other grades had 2 classes for each grade. And so until the school expanded, they weren't able to have a kindergarten or a first grade, so the kids went to Shawnee for that first year or 2. But all of them went to IHM, and then from here on down to Catholic Central.
Any principals or teachers that made impressions on your children?
Well, the principal when we joined the parish was Sister Marie Emile Rivard, and I got to know Sister Emile really quite well because later on, with our kids involved in the school here, we thought we should, participate in the school activities to the point where I then became a member of the school board, and later on the president of the school board, and worked closely with Sister Marie Emile during that time as the president of the school board and member of the parish council. So those were good times. That was about when we started talking about building the parish center here that we're in right now. That was in the discussion stages during those times. After Sister Marie Emile, the principal was Sister Janet Mish, and then my wife Mary was a teacher actually, first in CCD and then later on a member of the faculty here, teaching in the school itself. So we did get to know the teachers, the principal, the staff really quite well through that situation.
That's really cool. What activities and groups did you get involved with in IHM? Please go through them one at a time and give your early memories of what the group did, people you met through the group, how that group helped IHM grow. Like men's club or religious like study groups or Bible studies or parish council or school
Sure.
board.
In addition to being on the school board and parish council, for the first time we had lay Eucharistic ministers, and so I became a Eucharistic minister along with about 8 or 9 other people in the parish. So I think that was really the first time that they had lay people with the privilege of being able to distribute communion. And Also then, the people who were the lay ministers of the Eucharist made home visits. After 11 o'clock Mass, we would go out in pairs and visit people at home who were elderly or temporarily ill and unable to get to church for a period of time, so we could bring them communion. And so that was a great privilege as well to do that and to meet other folks in the parish who had those kinds of special needs. So that was one activity. My wife and I, Mary and I, were involved in a pre-Cana program in what was called Renew Groups, which was kind of a discussion group of lay people. There are multiple Renew groups in the parish, and it was usually groups of couples, maybe 8 or 10 people who would meet on a regular basis in homes throughout the diocese, or through the parish rather. We were involved, of course, with the 6 boys in the sports program here, helping with maintaining the athletic fields and clearing some of the area there that now is the Ball Diamond over on the corner of Alger and Plymouth. Remember those activities, helping to upgrade grounds and so on for athletics. It's sports physicals here, so the kids could be able to participate. We knew that they were healthy and able to be in sports.
And this is just a curious question. Did they always have a gym here in iGym?
When we moved here, this facility didn't exist, but the new church had just been opened maybe a year or so before we came in 1968. And the old church, which is a red brick structure, became the gymnasium. And so that was maybe about 1/4 the size of the facility we're in right now, Luke. And that served a lot of purposes in addition to being a gym. There were, any kind of parish function other than church itself was held in that building. Bingo was a big fundraiser for many of the Catholic churches around the country, and so there was bingo in the old, we still called it the old church, but it really had become the gymnasium. And I think that's probably also where your dad and your uncles learned to play basketball when they were youngsters in grade school. I think that when this facility opened up, 2 of our sons were still in school or were able to enjoy it. That was Joel and your dad, Jim, were able to take advantage of having this facility here. It's really quite spectacular for a grade school to have this kind of opportunity.
Yeah, it's such a nice gym. Tell about specific memories you have about new things at iChem, such as new buildings, new programs, new ways of doing things.
Well, I think we've mentioned the buildings themselves and new way of doing things. I think that the biggest transition was moving from the oblates to diocesan priests and getting to know really new people, new priests that had not been part of our life before. Really kind of feeling like you were a little bit more part of the diocese than perhaps we had when it was the oblates. As far as new programs are concerned, what I do remember are the retreats and missions that that happened pretty much every year. One that we recall particularly was a Franciscan priest, and probably others in the parish would remember him too, because he's such a dynamic speaker, and he was Oriental, Father Emery Tang, with a shaved head and very wonderful ideas and thoughts and inspirations for us as about the changes in the church and the new church that was now becoming the church of the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Awesome. What's different at IHM that you now miss from former times?
Well, I think that our connection with the parish to a large degree was the contact through the school, and I wouldn't say that we're no longer connected in that way, because we still have 7 grandchildren who are students here in the school. But you do, when it's not your own kids, you do become a little bit more separated from it. But we've been pleased to be included in a lot of the school activities, coming to watch our grandkids participate, whether it's the Christmas program or spring concert or athletic events, and seeing our grandkids, serve Mass and become our own children becoming parts of the parish. That's been very gratifying, and we still have three of our children whose families live in the area and continue to be part of Immaculate Heart.
Have the priests and or parishioners helped you throughout tough times?
Well, I think fortunately we've been blessed to not be faced with much in the way of tough times during our years here. Of course, there are always losses of good friends, and the parish itself has always been a great asset in rallying to meet the needs of folks. It certainly, we've had lifelong friendships. As I look around the room at all of the people here that are participating in this interview process, they're all people that we've known socially and have been to their homes and have grown up with them, and our kids have grown up with their kids. And having roots, I think, has been such a blessing. Being in one place for such a long period of time, because now our grandchildren are in a generation where their friends are grandchildren of our friends. That's a wonderful experience for us.
Awesome. Discuss how your life has been enriched by being a member of IHM.
Well, I've given a lot of thought to that, and as I think about it, it is not so much even the facilities or even the people, but the fact that as a family we've experienced the sacraments through Immaculate Heart. That's been the source of great enrichment. 2 of our children were baptized here, and as I counted it up, I think 12 of our 18 grandchildren were baptized here. All of our sons were confirmed here. It used to be that the bishop came to the parishes around the diocese and did confirmations in the parish. Now they do them at St. Andrew's, which is also a wonderful place as well. two of our children were married here at Immaculate Heart. The tradition tends to be that marriages take place in the home parish of the bride, so two of the weddings in our family have been at Immaculate Heart. Many of our older friends have been buried from Immaculate Heart. That's been, great experiences from the beginning of life to the conclusion, and it's been very special.
That's awesome. Anything else you'd like to say about IHM Parish?
Well, we certainly are thankful for the gift that it's been to us, that we've been able to be a part of it, the friendships that have formed, a deeper relationship with not only with the people but the priests, and deepening our faith. It's certainly it's all of the little things that go into the maturing of your faith life. When we first came to the parish as young parents ourselves, that's a time of growth that happens, over a period of over 40 years, and it's been a great blessing.
That's so cool. Thank you for speaking with me today. On behalf of the parish, thank you for all that you've done to make Immaculate Heart of Mary such a wonderful parish.
Well, Luke, it's been a privilege to spend some time with you this morning, and keep up the good work, and I think that you'll always be proud that you were a member of Immaculate Heart Parish yourself.
Thanks.